There's two ways I can play this. I can either just try and get kicked out of the novice servers as quickly as possible, do a speed run, or I could try and die a few times intentionally so I can actually stay in here and play around more. I think at first I'm just going to observe. I'm just going to try and observe the noobs in their natural habitat. I'll need some sort of defense, but nothing too powerful. Quarterstaff should do. The trick to not getting banned in a noob server is you want to make the noobs try and kill themselves, like I just almost did that. Try and get the noobs to team hit, and then you don't actually have to increase your KD, because if your KD goes up too much, then you're banned. No more noob hunt for you. I think it's KD, because obviously I'm rank 1, and for some reason I'm allowed to be in here. Oh. There's too many of them. Alerted the horde. Not gonna lie, like these noobs actually, they're somewhat... They pose a threat in numbers. Am I invited to the Morbin playtest? I've been on the consultant team for like 2 years, I think. Been aware of the game for a while. Because Rongrat, he told me like one night that he was just giving up a Mordhau and he was going to make his own game. I was like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea, because I don't see any potential in Mordhau or like trying to like make anything work in the scene. It's just dead. And then like a year later I sent him a message asking, so Rongrat, how's your game coming along? And then he was like, oh, what game? Huh? What game? He was like, he completely forgot he mentioned it to me. I was already aware. And then I had to dig up the screenshot of his post of him telling me that he was making a game. And he was like, oh, okay, fine. And then he made me sign an NDA. And yeah, I was able to get in on the juicy Discord. But yeah, honestly, I've done nothing towards the game or anything. I'm working on Contingent. Mobius is very much a project of theirs. Like, my ideas pretty like out there. They're not really, like, being anti-drag isn't like shouldn't be an unpopular stance, but within the comp scene it really is. The biggest contribution I had to make to Mobius is pushing the genre to be first person melee, which just makes a lot more sense in like first person slasher, which is or like melee slasher. I think first person slashers, FPS, that's already taken. And also slasher invokes more thoughts about Halloween movies and Scream and that kind of thing, whereas melee gets more to the point. And first person, well, that's one of the things I think Mobius is actually really deserves appreciation for, is their decision just to completely go all out on melee. Oh, sorry, first person, that is, and melee. Have they said there's going to be archers or anything? I think they said no archers, so yeah, it really is just first person melee, no third person, no projectiles. So that I think that's a very brave approach, because eventually, like, if this genre does get big enough, people are going to want perspective locked servers. They don't want to run up behind them, someone like Proxanus, and have them just see them in the back and then turn around and kill them if you're trying to sneak up on someone. So I think that's a wise decision, just right from the gate, to lock it to first person only. But it's risky, because you are then isolating some of the casual players that are used to Skyrim, and that allows them to play in third. Oh yeah, and also the decision not to do any kind of pubs and just stick to 5v5. Another brave and commendable decision, that's because most hardcore players, like, they can only stand this for so long. Like, I'm already bored. I'm just AFK walking around smacking people with a stick. So for them just to completely ignore that part of the game and to go straight for the 5v5, which I've always considered as the golden formula to transcend a genre from like a flavour of the month game like Mordhau into forever game like League of Legends or CSGO or something. That's also eventually it will have to be 5v5, but the approach is to go straight into 5v5. It's kind of bold. They run the risk of having like a Mirage Arcane Warfare situation where the game just doesn't take off at all, and then there's no like, because Mirage was very much focused on like small team cart pushes as well, and then if there's not that big team casual mode to sort of hook people in at first, they might run the risk of not even having any support for the comp mode at all. But if they have confidence in 5v5 and like their combat and stuff, then yeah, it makes sense, I guess, just to go straight for that focus on what they want to play at the end of the day, rather than offer things that other games already offer. Mortal 19, just I've not really looked that much at it. It just looks ultra jank though. Just smacking these two with a stick. On it. Ambush. Too aggressive. Ah! He's back in. Yeah, I think the main concern I have for Mobius is that the combat, from what they've shown so far, is not particularly innovative, because it looks like they've just kind of made a return to Shiv 1, same as Renown. Got rid of Chambers, which is obviously a good idea. Chambers are a dead end. Mordhau's exploration of that mechanic came to no fruition. But then now what do we have again? We just have timed block and feints and dragging, and the decision to kind of like market drag is like cool. It's just I can't see it ever working. People already know dragging from Shiv 1 and Mordhau, they know they don't like it, so I don't think that's something that's feasible to go for the approach of, hey, this is in the game, we think it's cool. But maybe I'm wrong, so I'm glad they're doing it, just in case there is like enough Mordhau skirmish players out there that want to experience drags again. But I think that's going to be a rough sell for the majority of players, which is why I've just been so anti-drag, and Contingent's not going to have drags, I can tell you that much. Novice server, by the way. Yeah, it doesn't feel like there's that much new to it. I guess they have the perfect parry thing, but even that avenue is kind of explored already within Mordhau, because Mordhau during the alpha, some of you might recall that Chambers initially had this really tiny window to them. So like they're a super skillful thing to go for. If you could go for it, if you could actually do it properly, the best way to play was just to chamber everything, because thank you, Flame. Because the chamber window was tiny, and if you successfully chambered, it didn't cost you any stamina, so that was kind of like the best move to go for. But the meta that promoted was just like micro dragging. You would just like, you couldn't ever do a predictable swing, you'd have to like slightly adjust the swing each time. You never like max out the excel, you do like a excel that just slightly drags at the end to throw off the timing, because the worst thing you could do would be to feed someone a chamber. In this instance, it's going to be feeding people perfect parries. So I just don't think that is enough to warrant like a whole new game, I guess. There doesn't seem enough change there between what we have already and what they're going to be releasing. So I guess the main appeal is going to be just like a comp scene, a game that's supported, as opposed to Mordhau, which gets no support. That's the thing though, shooters already have the mechanics established, whereas I don't think we really have it established yet in this genre. I think people think we do. If you're a new player, there's still so much wackiness going on. For example, just combos. Like, combos make no sense in this genre. Shiv 2, Mordhau, the thing with combos is you just have to always combo in the background of your swings. If you're playing a combo weapon, that is, not with hit stop. But if your weapon can combo, you just need to always mash left click in the background. Just doesn't feel good. You have to like work your way into it. It's not, what's the word I'm looking for here? It doesn't feel natural, or like you wouldn't expect it to work like that. It's one of those things you just have to know. There's lots of little things like that. I guess ripostes as well. Like, why are ripostes different from a normal swing? Like, it's just all these like rules and stuff that, unless you've been playing these games for a while, like, none of it really makes sense on your way into the game. I think a lot of people will kind of forget that. So I'm quite fortunate in that I still keep in touch with the kids, the new players, because obviously I do coaching, so I do have to revisit all of these things, and yeah, a lot of it does feel off for new players. How did he miss that? Didn't even feint him. I'm doing too well. Time to end. I need to stay in my noob server. Intuitive, that's the word, yeah. They're not intuitive. There's many unintuitive mechanics. Dragging would be like the core one. But yeah, even ignoring the whole drag debate, there's all kinds of like weird little things in this genre that could be refined and just... Who is he? What's he doing out here? Oh, yeah, late repast? Yeah, it's just that. There's so many like jank stuff like that. Trying to explain that to a new player is like, alright, so there's this window at the end of a repast where if you can try and time your repast there, your swinging looks even jankier than normal. That's literally what you have to say. Like, the objective is to make your swing just like jank out. And no one's gonna hear that, but oh cool, this genre, wow, nice, I want to stick around for this. Unfortunately, I have checked it out. There was one, for some reason, I don't know if someone trolled him or something, but there was a guy coached for 55 minutes out of the hour coaching session, and I just could not get him to do a single thing. And it turned out that someone had told him to use cinematic camera for some reason, and he was using it. And I only found out with 5 minutes left of the session, like, oh, okay. That kind of explains why you couldn't do anything. It was an NA thing for a bit, yeah. Of course. Yeah, man. Honesty was hype. Eden with the hype man. People thought he was a paid show. He's just American, man. This is how they like over there. But no, in terms of reveals, it must go down as the greatest game reveal ever, I think. Unrivaled. They had the venue there, which obviously cost a lot of money. Had all the equipment. First melee meetup, first melee LAN, I think ever. Maybe there was some for Shiv, but it wouldn't have been the same atmosphere because like people... It was like, I think Torn Banner did like 1 or 2 tourneys in NA, but like the comp scene wasn't really a thing then, and like people were cheating, so it wasn't really like a cool atmosphere. This is like the first proper like meetup LAN event, so just super cool. And yeah, I mean if the flight wasn't fucking like 10 hours, maybe I would have gone. Also the money. Someone offered to fly out me, Big Man and Bear. If I could get all 3 of us to go, he would have paid for it, allegedly. I don't know if he would actually follow through with that though.